All right, welcome everybody to Tuesday. It's our second in a row in person. We like to start off the night with show and shares where people show off projects they're working on, completed, failed, and so we're just going to jump right into that. We're going to start with Chuck Smith, who has a serving tray.
I see how this works now. You wait till the last minute to sign up so that I'll be first. I get that. This is really pretty simple. Woodworking kind of 101, but I thought there's a couple of techniques worth showing. If you'll notice, we have curved laminated edges on the little serving tray. And so I started off with just these strips. And then we go backwards. And then you can see a mold that I made out of just 2x6s. To take the strips and laminate them up, put glue in between them. And you see there? Yeah, let's see, I got this thing wrong. But anyway, that's all I want to show is how you laminate these up. My pictures are all scattered among other pictures, but the curve comes from the laminating up. The other thing is this is mesquite wood. It only came in 1/4 inch thick. So I was concerned, and only 4 inches wide, so I was concerned there would be some of this going on between the boards. So on the back, I counterbore with a Forstner bit in about 1/8 of an inch and put these little plugs in there, which stabilizes the boards between themselves. So, and that's it, sir. About 3 millimeters each, and it looks like I've got about 6 of them stacked up here on each side. So.
Are the handles on the sides?
Just made those separate and glued them in. They got a little radius routed in the bottom of them. Yes, I have some butcher block food grade oil on there. Is all that's on here. So I'll pass this around if anybody wants to look at it.
Thank you, Chuck. All right, next up we have Isaac, who has an electric mystery.
Hello, friends. I brought something to show you that you have perhaps seen a variation of recently. This is my particular build of Ray's beautiful mystery circuit. And Tim showed off his build on virtual show and share. So this is a kit that Ray designed for us to put together for fun and to learn more about surface mount soldering. In case you haven't seen this kit before, the way that it works is up in this area, it has an oscillator section, which is kind of like a metronome, right? So like it clicks on a regular basis. This knob controls the speed of the metronome. How fast does it click, right? And then in here, you have a counter. It's counting the clicks, and the clicks get routed to these 8 different spots, and it's counting in binary. So you have 1s, 2s, 4s, 8s, 16s, 32s, etc. And then you can move these red jumpers to choose how you want to route those counts down here, where they choose among 8 different oscillators. And these ones make a tone. And you can turn the knob to determine what tone it makes. And so one might very optimistically imagine this to be some sort of musical generator. In fact, it makes noise. Insufferable noise or pleasant noise according to your skill in operating this circuit. I did not ever get to pleasant, for which I apologize in advance. But Ray asked that everyone who completed this project show it, and for every show he makes a donation to Knox Makers. And so I'm dutifully showing you mine, and I wanted to show you how I spun it a little bit different. I made 2 modifications to it after I reverse engineered how he built this thing. And the first is that I changed the metronome so that mine is capable of clicking much, much faster. But the other thing is I was trying to figure out, when you move these little pins around, it makes kind of a musical pattern, right? Again, musical is optimistic, but it makes a pattern of sounds. And according to how you place them, the pattern repeats immediately or after a moment, or after 2 moments. And I wondered, how long could you make the pattern go before it discernibly repeats? So what you see up here, the inelegant part of my circuit, this is something that I made by hand to extend Ray's circuit. And what mine does is, it also counts, and it moves virtual pins around here. So my pins don't stay still. Instead, they constantly move. And now I'm going to make a noise, I'm afraid. I was trying to make something that sounded like an old arcade game. So that's my invention, so to speak.
Very cool. You hacked the invention by Ray. Where's Ray to make that noise for us? I think he should have to repeat all the noises that they make. All right, next up is Russell going to show us a lamp.
First off, I really appreciate you letting me show something tonight, since I don't even know if I'm a new member yet or not, because I'm still on double secret probation, and I don't, maybe one of these days I'll actually be in. And you gave it away. I was going to tell everybody that this was an antique Edsel flux capacitor, but now you know that it's a lamp. That's all right. That's what I wrote down. So, does anybody know what an Edsel is? Some guys here. Yeah, okay. Some do. Okay. You do or don't? You do? Okay, good deal. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't we all? I'm retired from the telecommunications industry. Cable TV mostly, fiber optic construction, that kind of stuff. And as I retired last year, and as old equipment becomes obsolete, it ends up in the dumpster. So I have lots of treasures from the dumpster that I can make stuff out of. These are all actually cable TV fittings. This is a tap housing. This is coax cable. This is a type of fitting. So I gathered up all of that stuff and started making cable trash lamps. This one is a touch lamp. You touch it, it comes on. Put all the junk in here, the electronics and whatnot. But actually my favorite thing to do is take antique items, especially boxes. I can find old boxes to use as a base, and then use brass, glass, any other old stuff that I can get, which I affectionately call treasures, which Rosemary calls junk in the garage. But we've come to terms. I have my little corner, but being here will give me the chance to make my own bases and boxes using wood. I can learn more about how to solder properly. If I do any metal work, of course I'm using brass and other types of metals, so this place is like the ideal spot for me to do my tinkering and making things. So I appreciate it. If you've got any old family junk you need made into a lamp, I'm your guy.
Thank you, Russell. I really love it when people take old junk and turn it into new things. We need more people doing that with the hack rack here. All right, next up is Simone, who's going to show a book recover.
So I really like fancy books and fancy book covers, but I don't like spending fancy book and fancy book cover money. So I decided I wanted to make my own, and this is the first one that I made. It's a Leatherbound book that did this, and what I did was I bought just a paperback book and I peeled the cover off it like it's an orange. It's painful. And then I measured it all out, and on the laser cutter I cut out pieces of wood that matched this part and this spine. And then I got leather and I cut out the perimeter of it around the cover pieces, and I took white glue and I glued it all together, and I took metal pieces and I pushed it in until it stuck and stayed to sort of stretch it around. And I put little pieces of leather here on a regular leatherbound book that's sometimes functional. On this one, it is completely aesthetic. I also put a little ribbon bookmark on it because I like those. This is the first one I made, so it's the worst one, but I've made like 4 other ones. Here's one. And here's some other ones. And then the most recent one I did had eyes. Was that one. I'll pass this one around. I'll say the end papers glued to the book itself and ripped it. So you didn't do that. I did that. It's bad design. Yeah. I did not wet the leather. I put so much glue that the leather got wet from glue. Yeah. I used a metal stick thing, like a pokey thing made of metal, to push the letter. The letters are laser cut wood. And I used a metal thing to press them in. The metal thing? Oh, the leather is super thin. It's a goatskin leather. They're pretty thin. It's whatever the wood is by the laser cutter. It's that thick. Yeah, 3 millimeters. There you go. Everything. Okay, I'll pass it around.
Thank you, Simone. That looks great. Next up is Susanna, who's going to show us her shawl.
Okay. Wow. Well, so for those of you guys who were here like a million years ago, before like the Fire Nation attacked and all bad things happened, I had been planning to go to Animazement this year. Is it this year or last year? This year? As Yubaba. Anyway, it was some year, and like it has passed and didn't happen. So like, you know, when the brakes got put on the Yubaba costume too. So like now that like it seems like we're gonna have like a real world and everything again, like the Yubaba shawl has come out of the woodwork. Now, one of the things that as I was working on it last, I reached a point where, you know, I had made, so like I have this much here, which is I've already worked on, and then I have these 2 here, which I had made. I spun all this wool, and one of these here, which for some reason I decided this is not enough. This is not, couldn't possibly be enough. This really needs to be long, and I don't have enough. And for those of you who knit or sew or anything like that and know about dye lots, you'll know that realizing that you don't have enough and then trying to go out and recreating more is a really bad idea. It's a really bad idea. But I had something in my favor. Since I had spun all of this wool, all I really needed to do was like sort of approximate the colors a little closely, because it's not like an exact dye lot. So now I have 2 more of these, and I'll pass these around because these are, you know, they're in pretty good shape to pass around. One of these is the old dye lot, and 2 of these are new. And you can see if you can tell the difference. But for the part that I am continuing to work on, so for those of you who know who Yubaba is, she has this thing where she likes to put on like this sort of cape, and then she flies off. She turns into a bird and she flies off. So as part of my cosplay, I have incorporated a stitch pattern here that hopefully we can see it. Let me make the background here white. Sorry for the noise. But you can see that the stitch pattern here comes out looking like feathers. You can see that right there. Do you see the feathers? And when it's all done, so you can see these rows here, these arrow point kind of rows. And then this part here that looks a little bit like a peacocky feather. And then this is like up by the shoulders here, which has even more of a textured kind of feathered or scaly look. The whole thing should come together and look like, the idea is it kind of looks like you're wrapping up into feathers, because of course then you're going to turn into a bird and you're going to fly. And like, you know, hopefully that would work out too. Wouldn't that be awesome? That's probably going to be a fail on the project, but you know, it'll hopefully at least look good. And you know, it's got a ways to go, so I'm not going to pass this around. It's still on the sticks, so you know, that's where I'm at, and that's what I've been working on, sort of here recently when the world came back to life again. That's all. Bye.
Thank you, Suzette. Can you tell the difference? Which one's the old and the new? Yeah. All right. Next up is Toby with a CR scan. 01, it says.
Switch video. I'm definitely going to have to switch video. Is that auto switch? 3. So, I kind of like to, yeah. I've been playing around with 3D scanning in the past, and basically I bought a brand new scanner. And the new scanner is actually from Creality. I'm not plugging them or anything, but this one just actually come out this month. So I did a pre-order for $705. Yikes. But just a few moments ago, we did actually scan Rob, as you can see from the screen there. And I kind of wanted to show off a little bit of its capabilities better than the Xbox Kinect that we've been demoing in the past, what, year and a half ago or more. So I think this should show the actual scanning detail that we did. And this was what, about maybe 30 seconds or less. So I mean, there is no back to it because I did not scan the back, so it did fill in a little bit. But basically, as far as the point cloud and everything, it is a lot more detailed than the Kinect can ever possibly be, in my opinion. I think that you can see a little bit better on the mesh. Then you can add texturing. It does have quite a bit of texturing on there as well. Of course, the glasses aren't scanned, but the texturing makes it look like they are. And then, of course, this is without the lighting, but this is with the lighting built into it, so it looks more like his actual shirt and everything. So, but basically, it's my new little geeky toy that I've got. I've actually starting to do a cosplay of the penguin, and I'm wanting to do a prosthetic nose. And so I've actually scanned my face and everything with the Xbox Kinect, and I was like, okay, we'll see how it's okay-ish for a resin cast. But I actually did one of these. Can I go back to the... And I'm going to show myself as the worst possible photos I can possibly find. Also mirrored. So, show and share. So this is actually the selfie that I made Saturday when I unboxed it and come down here Sunday. And then, of course, that's the mesh that I also posted. A couple other stupid ones on here. So this is not the actual nose, but I was playing around with my blue resin cast and everything. So I actually went ahead and extended it a little bit on purpose, just to kind of exaggerate the nose. And then putting it on, absolutely no glue or anything, and it just holds it. So, I mean, it fits pretty close. And that, of course, is just from that digital scan that I did Sunday and made a little bit of a fake nose-ish. Go ahead and make a copy of it. So, I mean, these are all the parts in the box. It does have a turntable so you can scan other objects smaller. This is actually the test subject that I scanned, all printed. Technology. So we actually did a 3D scan of a 3D print of Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. And it come up, I don't have the final one of it, but it's done pretty good. And I've also done a bunch of other 3D prints and scans. This is actually two of them that I did with the Xbox Connect a while back. This one was 2015, but that's basically what I've been doing here in 2 weeks. Oh, and Sue here. So I went ahead and also took that same Black Swan, and I am currently, because she's not here, I am actually putting it inside of a real music box that plays Swan Lake. So I figured after it's painted and hot glued onto the sprocket that the other one was, it's a lot cheaper than buying the movements, which I've already bought, and building the box. So I figured I might as well just use one that's already created. But that's my show and share.
Thank you, Toby. Can't wait to see little miniatures of Rob running around. You can ride your combat robot and kill switch. All right. That's it for the shares tonight. Just a few announcements. I think on Tuesdays we're going to start asking if we can have volunteers to help empty out the trash and to change their air filters in the blower units. If we could just have volunteers for that every Tuesday, that'll get that done. Because that's up to us to do. We don't have anyone doing that for us. We also have a few classes coming up. We have Schlosser Obedience Training coming up tomorrow at 6:30. That's a virtual class. Sign up. There's plenty of tickets. And then you'll get a link of where to go to join that. There's also a new members onboarding this Thursday at 7. If you're a new member or old member or just want to learn more about the organization or just want to show up, is this one in person? Yeah, so this one's in person. I'm sure there'll be snacks. Show up. That's Thursday at 7. And then on Saturday, there's a laser cutter 101 class that's required. That's an off class to use the laser cutter. So if you still need to be off on the laser cutter, sign up for that. And with that, that's all the announcements. Now we're going to go play in the workshop. So.